You're on the Metal Bar with Ricardo, and joining us out of Atlanta, Georgia, well, close enough too, is Jeff Losawyer from the band Voodoo Moonshine. How you doing, Jeff?
All right, man. Hey, you got it right, dude. That was wonderful. Yes, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good, good. Now, Voodoo Moonshine, Ronnie from Flirt Magazine put me on to you guys, and he sent me some clips and stuff, and I was like, I'd be interested to get your take on this, because the first thing that I thought when I heard Voodoo Moonshine was Badlands. You know, Ray Gillen, J.K. Lee. That was kind of straight away. I was like, man, this is my jam.
Dude, and that is, when I come across Pedro, he's done some Stillheart stuff, and later on he had released this old clip he did with this band from the 90s, and they did High Wire, and dude, he pulled it off just perfectly. Actually, we're gonna throw that cover in, but yeah, Pedro can pull it off, and great comparison. That's wonderful, man. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
So much better than Poison, huh?
Yeah, well, that's it. I was going to talk to you about, the early days with Voodoo Moonshine, because you were part of that hair metal scene out in Hollywood and things, but you guys do have a harder sound. You don't sound like Motley Crue or Poison, who were kind of definitely more lightweight and pop-oriented. You do have that harder edge that maybe the Junkyards and the Badlands and bands like that had.
I think it's because when, me and my original singer were out in LA in 90, right at the worst time to go out there with a deal, and then everything changed. I ended up leaving LA, and I got in my van and headed towards Memphis. And that's where I ended up, I broke down all across Arkansas and I broke down in Memphis. I was headed in that direction because you had Tora Tora and Every Mother's Nightmare and Roxy Blue coming out there. And I thought, man, that's just so great, man. Just blue jean rock and roll. And Tesla was a big influence. So, my singer was into the glammy thing.
Right.
And I was, I just want to throw jeans on, man, and just rock out. Yes. So it ended up being more of that, bluesy rock type stuff as opposed to the formula, pop stuff, and I'm glad that but what's weird, man, is you get a singer now that can actually sing, 4 or 5 octaves, and you have any kind of, you have guitar solos, and it's like, oh, you got that 80s tag. Well, we got that a lot on the first CD. This one, so far, the CD's still not out, but the singles that we've released, we have not had a comparison of that 80s tag. And as well as I do, that was a kiss of death for the longest time.
Yeah. Well, it would have been. I was actually thinking, though, things, swings and roundabouts, things come back again. And I've just seen some bands like Dirty Honey, and there's a couple of others who are kind of got that vibe on again that have been starting to pick up some airplay, starting to get popular.
Yes, Dirty Honey, man. They're just kicking ass everywhere, aren't they, man? They're just unsigned and just not even being directed. They're just doing what they want to do, which is really cool because they sound to me like Anthony from Tora Tora. I mean, that singer sounds just like him to me. And have that commercial feel in the choruses and the hooks, and it's a great thing, man. The thing is, we're at the age now where we're not going to just chase it. We're just going to write what we want to write. And luckily, people are digging it, So we're not turning on the radio going, oh, this is the new thing, so we're going to write like that.
Yeah.
It's now it's just we're going to do what we want to do. We're getting old and stubborn, set in our ways.
Lonesome, ornery, and mean.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. Yeah, good, man, good. Well, in terms of the story then of Voodoo Moonshine, I mean, obviously you're the founding member, you're the only original member. Yes. You guys are doing new stuff, but you've had a couple of breaks in between. Obviously, you hit Europe pretty hard in the early 2000s, and things were going well for you then, but you had some personal issues with family members being ill and things like that, and that kind of took you off the road for a while. What are the rest of the guys from that band doing now? Do you stay in touch?
My original singer, man, he's been my friend since '87, man. We lived together, worked together. We worked together, Warner Brothers, Elektra Atlantic Records, and then we played together, so that's 30 years. He's still, I'll call him and say, hey, man, I'm having issues with this, this song or something. And he's like, okay, and he'll throw me something. He was helping with, editing videos. The thing is, man, he got at that age. Well, he's up in Minnesota now, and he's making a lot of money. And his daughter had a child, and he's like, dude, I'm a grandpa. He's like, I got to get out. I just can't do it no more. And I could respect that. He was smart, I guess. Here I am. We're still trying, but Lonnie, the drummer, he went on to play with Black Oak, Arkansas, Every Mother's Nightmare. I think he did a few shows with Jack Russell's Great White. I think he's fronting his own band right now. Trey, our bass player, after Leon died, in Skinner, he ended up touring with Skinner for, a few tours, a few legs of the tour. They all went about their business, and this is my baby, man. I can't go nowhere. I can't really get into playing with anybody else. This is just what I've done, So they're doing their own thing, and I'm continuing to beat this horse and get it back going again,
Well, because there's a really cool story about Pedro as well, the Ray Gillen sounding Pedro, as I shall ever think of him, and how you guys met and how you came to put the band back together effectively with his band.
That was, man, it was just so weird. I got moved here to Georgia for a job, and I had finished the CD a few years back, and I was done with it. I had a wife that was sick at the time, and so I'm just a working Joe. Now, I'd released, a few songs from the CD. I happened to check the Facebook Voodoo Moonshine page just out of the blue, and there was this audio recording. This guy's like, yeah, man, this is Doug Goldstein, and I just want to tell you guys, I dig you guys, and just watch out for the snakes in the business. And that was it. And I'm like, who the hell is Doug Goldstein? I'm like, it sounds familiar. So I checked, and I'm like, yeah. And Facebook, man, you can become a world famous model, a record. You could be whoever you want to be and not necessarily be that. Come to find out, it was Doug Goldstein who had managed Guns N' Roses. And I don't know why he contacted us. He wasn't asking for nothing, wasn't selling nothing. And I thought, wow, that's really weird. A couple of weeks later, Steve Thompson, I got an email from Steve Thompson. I'm like, who the hell is that? And I thought about it, and I'm like, you remember me saying I was a huge fan of Tesla? I'm like, Steve Thompson, Michael Barbier, the producers. And I checked into it, and it was that dude. And he ended up FaceTiming me, because I thought, man, this is just all bullshit. This is not real. And it ended up being him. And he was wanting to produce this, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of retired. I wasn't thinking anything of it. So it made me start thinking, I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I started trolling the internet, YouTube, found Pedro, seen this guy doing Angel Eyes, I'll Never Let You Go by Stillheart, a little in his room. And I'm like, this is just not real. This just can't be, man. That dude's voice is amazing. Ended up tracking, and I looked at some live stuff, and I seen him and his cover band doing Everyone Loves Eileen by Stillheart live. And it was just pitch perfect. Everything was perfect. So I become a stalker, man. I started bugging the shit out of the guy, and he ignored me the first time because he was pretty, he thought of me probably the way I thought of this Doug Goldstein and Steve Thompson guy. I thought this guy's full of shit, but I kept bugging him about it, and I'd send him the songs that I'd already recorded, with this other singer from England. He ended up liking the songs. They were playing Biketoberfest, which, in Daytona, it's huge, 10, 20,000 people. I don't know. I thought, well, how about I come down there and just screw up a couple of cover songs, man, get up on stage. And that's what I did. I hopped in my car, went down there, met the guys right before before we went on, messed up some Skid Row, Metallica, and that was the first time we met. And those guys dug the songs, and they wanted to join the band. That's how it came about, man. It was all a fluke. It was just it fell in our laps, It's just really strange.
Well, what's the timeline now for getting this album out, and what's the plan around it?
We're looking at October. Right now, Sean Shannon has 4 more to finish up. Sean used to play drums with Molly Hatchet and Pat Travers. Phenomenal guy, man. He's the one that's produced so far the other singles. But we're looking at October. This COVID thing has just screwed everything up as far as live playing goes. But it was kind of a blessing for us because now we can get our business together. We had planned on doing the video for What a Way to Go and bring it down, back in July when all this hit. everything, you know, then everyone got locked down, so it got pushed back, and we're going to try to shoot those videos, release the CD at the same time, and be prepared.
Be prepared, indeed. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it, man. Once you get it all done. In terms of where you want to take this, if once we come out of the COVID situation, you can tour, etc. If things were back to normal, Jeff, where would you want to take this, and how many more records do you reckon we could expect from Voodoo Moonshine with this lineup?
Well, you know, I mean, I would hope that we'd have a few more records with this lineup, and you know, and that was the thing. Like I told you, these songs I had written a while back. There was two. Well, Bring It Down, actually, I had written, and we didn't really like the lyrics, so that was the first song that Pedro and I collaborated on the lyrics, and that came out being the greatest song. I mean, and it was just done so quickly. And then we had another one, Rise Free, this last one, and he wrote all the lyrics, you know, and I think it just gelled immediately, you know, as far as what we can expect for the next CDs. Jeff's going to be flying down in a couple of weeks. We're already starting we're going to be working on new stuff. I mean, we're just stockpiling, you know, while we're taking advantage of this setting at home crap, you know, because, you know, we just did that live studio thing in Oviedo, Florida, July 27th. And, you know, we couldn't even play for nobody. We had so many crew members there that we weren't allowed to have people in, you know, so we're obviously ready to play, but we got to get the brand, you know, we're getting the websites together, the merchandise, we're going to launch out on the CD and just try to have everything ready for when finally the world opens up. All we got to focus is, you know, getting out there and playing. You know, I didn't think about it when I first started playing music. You look at demographics, the area. You know, I thought when I was young, you know, 14, hey, man, just pick up guitar. I can get drunk. You play guitar and chicks are going to fall around. Now I'm looking at age demographics and location and all this. So we're actually, you know, setting a business plan of the market that we want to hit. Europe was always a good market, you know, so we want to come over and see you. You know, we want to come over. Unfortunately, America, man, the business is hard. You know, there's so many bands and they don't want to pay, you know, and there's bigger shows we could do overseas. We'll play anywhere that's going to be beneficial and that people want us. I would love to say, you know, that we do 3-4 more albums, but, you know, we're going to take one at a time.
Good news, too, on that front, too. I mean, I just saw Metallica S&M 2 is #1 on the Billboard chart. It's keeping Katy Perry's new album off the Billboard chart. They're the first band, I think, in the mainstream rock to have a single at #1 in each of the last 4 decades. So there's an appetite out there for guitar-driven music still, you know, despite everybody sitting at home and playing on their computers and putting out pop stuff and indie stuff and things. There's definitely an appetite for that guitar-driven music still.
Well, you know, I didn't watch these awards that just happened the other night, but I've seen little pictures of some of the stuff that's going on there, and I don't think people really want to deal with that crap anymore. I mean, it would be nice if we could get some new bands in there, you know, some new blood, you know, and of course I would love for that to be us. They've had a long run, you know. I would like to see a lot of young bands, a lot of young rock bands just do it, you know. So maybe there's hope. It just depends on what you know, as well as I do, man, the industry is driven in a certain direction and they control it. So we're going to go the direction that we need to go for us. Cool.